One of the things we love about our students is the commitment to service, and our commencement speaker today has made service to others the guiding principle of her career. Kerry Hessler Radlett is the 19th Director of the United States Peace Corps, a position she's held since June 2014. Prior to that, she served as the agency's acting director and deputy director from 2010 to 2014. Hessler Radlett holds a Master of Science degree in Health Policy and Management from the Harvard School of Public Health and a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science from Boston University. And I must say, she also has a brother who graduated from Michigan Tech. Kerry?
Hello, Huskies. Are you ready? Are you ready? Come on, are you ready? Parents, are you ready? All right. It is great to be back in Houghton, Michigan. I used to spend a lot of time here as a kid. I am actually a Michigander, but I have a confession to make. I am a troll. Yep. The place I call home is below the bridge. I really hope you won't hold that against me. Now, as you heard earlier, this is not my first time at Michigan Tech. My brother Greg graduated from Michigan Tech in 1980, so I sat right up there a long time ago. Never in a million years did I think that I would be standing here today. Just goes to show you anything is possible. Drew, wherever you are a rock star. Congratulations. President Mraz, faculty and staff, parents, family, and friends, and most importantly, class of 2016, congratulations, you made it. You made it. Now, there may have been some doubts along the way. Maybe it was your first Calc 2 midterm. Or maybe it was your first semester at Home Sweet Houghton when you discovered one universal truth about Michigan Tech. Here, winter is always coming. Or maybe it was the time that you trekked through a blizzard to the spring career fair with only howling winds, 20-plus inches of snow, and zero visibility that stood between you and the career choice of your future. Or maybe it was one of those magical summer mornings, grabbing a pint with your buddies at the KBC, or sitting on the deck at the DT, watching the northern lights paint the sky, when you thought time might just stand still forever. Maybe it was the time you cheered on the Huskies as they brought home the McNaughton Cup, or the time you watched as one of your own made the improbable journey from the UP to All-Star MVP. Or maybe it was the senior walk, or another of those nights you don't quite remember with the friends that you can never forget. Or maybe it was this morning, the day you thought would never arrive, as you put on your cap and gown, lined up with your classmates, and marched together to pack the Mac one last time. And here you are. That day is here. I'm so very honored to share this special time with you and to be at Michigan Tech, a school that has given Peace Corps and our country and our world so many incredible leaders. Michigan Tech is truly a Peace Corps school. Currently, 7 Michigan Tech alumni are serving overseas with the Peace Corps, and 223 Michigan Tech alumni have served since the beginning in 1961. That is an incredible legacy. I can't think of another school that has embraced Peace Corps the way you have, how it's woven into your coursework, your community service, your research. It's an amazing partnership, one that we hope will only grow in years to come. So I'm going to take a little page out of Drew's handbook and ask everyone who has ever had a hand in the Michigan Tech Peace Corps program to please raise your hand. If you've ever applied to the Peace Corps, served as a volunteer, served as a Michigan Tech faculty member, staff, or administrator of a program supporting Peace Corps, if you were ever on a committee, or served as a department chair or professor in a program that supported Peace Corps, anyone who has ever been involved in any way in the 29 years of partnership between the Peace Corps and Michigan Tech, please raise your hand now. I know there's lots on the stage. Let's put our hands together for them. Thank you. It's an extraordinary partnership, and we are so very grateful for your service. May it extend for many years. And that brings me to what I want to talk to you about today, graduates. That nebulous, uncertain, unpredictable, terrifying, and thrilling place we call the future. Some years ago, I'm told, 2 Michigan Tech students took it upon themselves to build a road sign. And tech students, being tech students, did it exactly like the real thing. It looked like any other roadside you'd see driving down the highway. They drove down 4 miles south of campus and put it right up next to US 41. The sign said, 4 miles to Houghton, and above it, 2 miles to the end of the earth. Anyone remember that sign? Yeah. Now, I don't tell this story to make you think that the end of your college career is the end of the world. No. Actually, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Today, you get to cast aside all the boxes you had to check off to make it here today. The tests, the prerequisites, all those degree requirements. Today, you get to dispense with the old road signs to success as you've known them up to today. And now you get to go off the map entirely, if that's what you want to do, toward any destination you might have in mind, along any route you'd like, in any direction you choose. It's a prospect that is both exciting and terrifying, I know. So what I'd like to offer today are a few coordinate points that I would have liked when I was in your shoes, as you close out one incredible chapter and look forward to all the possibilities that the future might bring. Choose optimism. That's the first coordinate that I would plot for you, class of 2016. I don't mean that kind of gauzy, glass half full philosophy that you might find in a fortune cookie. What I mean is the kind of defiant optimism that it takes to look at the world as it is, to see its progress and its potential, and its warts, and still believe in what it can become. It is so easy now to turn on the TV screen or scan the headlines and just be overwhelmed by all the bad news. It seems that the world and our country are falling apart. And you are problem solvers by nature. And the thing about problem solvers is that you are inevitably on the front line of tackling the world's most challenging problems. You've already begun to do that here with your work on carbon footprints, contamination detection, wave energy conversion, ungrounded system protection, mobile gas chromatography, and other projects that I can't even pronounce, much less understand. Being a problem solver also means that sometimes when you look out at the horizon, it is easy to see a world that needs fixing. But the thing is, the news is really not that bad. In fact, a lot of it is quite good. We just don't hear enough about the good news. The world that you are inheriting is a much better place than the world your parents inherited. By far, it's not even close. In the decades since the end of the Cold War, nearly 1 billion people have been lifted out of extreme poverty. 1 billion. That progress is not just remarkable, it is absolutely unprecedented in human history. Average life expectancy around the world is 10 years longer than when I was born half a century ago. 10. Think of what you could do with an extra 10 years, or more in some parts of the developing world. And even though reports of violent conflict dominate the news, the truth is that the world has become a vastly more peaceful place, whether measured by the number of wars or the number of people lost to violent acts or the scale of conflict between or within states. Now, that is not to deny the fact that conflict still exists or to diminish the horror of lives still being lost to violence. But I would urge you to take a fresh look at the incredible progress we have made in almost every measure of human development over the past few decades and embrace the cause of humanity with optimism and enthusiasm. In the face of all the bad news rhetoric we hear every single day, we have a choice: to give in to cynicism, anger, and fear, or alternatively, to seek opportunities to find the best in ourselves and others. Let me illustrate this with the story of Peter Terr, who is a Sudanese lost boy, whose entire family was murdered by Sudanese militants when he was 3 or 4 years old. With such a history, who could blame him for fearing those who were different? After years of wandering between South Sudan, Ethiopia, and Kenya, Peter finally found his way to a UN refugee camp and attended school for the very first time. He was an incredibly bright and motivated student, and with the help of the United Nations, Peter eventually made his way to the United States, where he studied for the GED, got a full scholarship to university, and graduated with honors. After graduating, he became a US citizen and joined the Peace Corps in order to give back to the country that had given him so much. When Peter applied to the Peace Corps, he requested specifically to go to a Muslim country because, in Peter's words, the only way he knew to make peace with his turbulent past was to live among those who shared the faith of those who had killed his family. Peter received a Peace Corps assignment to teach English in remote Azerbaijan, a Muslim-majority country where many people were very suspicious of Americans and where many villagers had never before seen a person of color. An Azeri family in Peter's small village opened up their home to him and welcomed him like a son. And that was the beginning of Peter's long retreat from the hatred and anger and fear that had gripped him ever since his family was taken from him so many years ago. He learned to love the people with whom he lived and worked each day. In Peter's words, what surprised me the most was how human love and connection became stronger than my own tragic family history, my religion, my nationality, or the color of my skin. His is a remarkable story of reconciliation and forgiveness, but it would not have happened if Peter had not taken the first step. Peter chose love over fear, peace over hatred, optimism over cynicism. Peter has shared his story with thousands of Americans and has done more to foster love and respect for those whose cultures are different from ours than anyone I know. He says, the best way to learn about the world and to make a difference is by being fearless for the sake of doing good things for humanity. Remember, optimism is a choice. Reconciliation is a choice. Remember, too, that creativity cannot thrive in hearts that are shriveled by hatred, fear, or cynicism. Optimism doesn't just make it easier to get up out of bed every day, every in the morning. It frees you and empowers you to look boldly and fearlessly into the future. So graduates, yes, zero in on the problems that need to be solved, because in the face of urgent global challenges, we sure need your crazy smarts, Michigan Techs, your crazy smarts and your tenacity. But take heart from all that is going right, too. The next coordinate I would plot for you has to do with finding your true north. In the early 1960s, as the story goes, Peace Corps' founder, President John F. Kennedy, paid a visit to that other legacy of his administration, NASA. At one point during his tour of the space facility, President Kennedy noticed a janitor carrying a broom. The president wandered over to the janitor and said, "Hi, I'm Jack Kennedy. Tell me about your job." "Well, Mr. President," the janitor responded, I'm putting a man on the moon. No matter where you go from here, whether it's starting at the bottom or moving your way up, I hope you'll always find something to believe in. A mission that inspires you, a purpose that speaks to you, a calling that drives you, even on days when the work is hard and the end is far from sight. Now I know an income, health insurance, a roof over your head, all these things matter, of course, right, parents? Yeah. But as you enter the working world, if all you consider is what brings you stability or wealth or security, there will come a time when you realize that something is missing in the hours you have spent between clocking in and clocking out. So don't just settle for a paycheck. Don't be content with this first, second, or even third opportunity that comes to you. Ask yourself, what inspires you? What excites you? What fuels your curiosity, your creativity, your passion? Maybe it's curing cancer. Maybe it's protecting endangered ecosystems. Maybe it's contributing to the next generation of space missions. Maybe it's mobile gas chromatography, which is my new favorite word. Maybe it's hats. Whatever it is, let that be your compass north. Believe in something, find it, grab hold of it, and take it. Give it all you've got. The third coordinate that I would jot down for you has to do with the gifts you've been given and the skills you've gained. This is a campus where cutting-edge research, industry-leading innovation, and brilliant design can be found just about everywhere you look, whether it's in the classroom, in your enterprises, or in the amazing snow sculptures at Winter Carnival. After all, this is a campus where you don't just ask whether something is possible, you roll up your sleeves and prove that it is. What sets you apart, Michigan Tech, is that while many people like to talk about the future, you have the knowledge and skills to actually create it. And so I'll confess an ulterior motive in coming here today, graduates. I'm here to ask you, with all the doors that are now open to you, all the paths that are before you, if you will consider using your considerable talents to serve others, to use your power for good. Maybe that means creating products to help people live better lives. Maybe it means taking time outside of work to mentor others, to share your passion for science or technology or business with the next generation, as so many of you already do. Maybe it means wearing our country's uniform and bringing your technical know-how to serving our nation. Or maybe it means joining the Peace Corps and helping to bring design thinking or sustainable energy to some of our world's most vulnerable, hard-to-reach communities. I think about people like Brendan Held, who earned his master's in environmental engineering from Michigan Tech in 2010. Brendan served as a Peace Corps volunteer in Madagascar and Mali, working with farmers and community members to improve access to clean drinking water. And what he discovered is that engineering change is not just a matter of introducing new technology or new platforms. Change in a community needs champions and leaders who are of that community, he said. So when I returned from Peace Corps, I decided to work for my own community here at home. Today, Brendan works on optimizing sustainable water treatment practices as an engineer for the Environmental Protection Agency. Every day, every single day, I meet someone whose lives was changed through service. About a year ago, I met Vic, who had just returned from Malawi, where he had served as a math and science teacher. He had served there with Adrian, his wife, who was a health volunteer. They lived in a small hut in the middle of their small Malawian town. They had a modern American marriage, so Vic would accompany Adrian to the market and would help her pick out tomatoes and squash, and together they would cook up an American meal for their neighbors. He would even wash clothes by hand, a task which is absolutely women's work in Malawi. Adrian helped Vic, too, with what was considered man's work. She helped him repair the roof after it was damaged in a bad storm, and together they made a fence to keep the goats out of their garden. On weekends, they would ride their bikes around their village, exploring the area and visiting their Malawian friends. Vic would gossip with the women, as they sat around the cooking fires, and Adrian would sit with the village elders as they talked about the health clinic. They loved their community and soon became part of the fabric of life in their little corner of Malawi. When I met Vic, shortly after he returned from the Peace Corps, I asked him what he thought his greatest impact had been, and he told me that he would have given a different answer if I had asked him a month ago. He said, "I would have told you how proud I was that my students' math scores on their annual national exam was 25% higher than the national average. But my perception of the value of our service changed on my last day in Malawi. Adrian and I were in our hut, packing up when we heard a knock on the door. It was one of my students, and he had something on his mind. He came to tell me something, and this is what he said. He said, "Mr. Vic, I know you're leaving, and I wanted to tell you that when I grow up, I am going to treat my wife like you treat yours. I see the way you share domestic chores, how you help each other. I see how much fun you have together. I see how you treat each other with such love and respect, how you value each other's opinion. When I grow up, I'm going to treat my wife like you treat yours." Now, I don't know if that man really fully absorbed Vic's lessons on how to calculate the circumference of a circle, but I can tell you that his future wife is going to be really happy that Vic was his math teacher. You might wonder if one person can make a difference in this world. I can tell you that you can. And if you choose optimism, if you find something to believe in, and if you dedicate your gifts and talents to serving others, I have no doubt that you will go on to create an incredible future for yourself and for your world. One final word for you graduates, and this has to do with your parents. Until you have children of your own, you cannot possibly understand the love your parents and family have for you. So take a moment today to recognize them and what they have done to support your getting here right now. Tell them that you listened more than they think. Tell them that you remember more than they realize. Tell them that you love them more than they know. Thank them for their support and give them a big hug. They have sacrificed for you. Congratulations, class of 2016. I can't wait to see what you're going to do with your crazy smarts.
Well, it's our honor to be able to recognize someone who basically has the job of introducing America to the world and introducing the world to Americans in one of the best ways possible. Beyond that, she has done great things in the Peace Corps. She's also been instrumental in forging initiative partnerships such as Let Girls Learn. It's a powerful whole-of-government collaboration with First Lady Michelle Obama, really to expand access to education for adolescent girls around the world, and the Global Health Service Partnership, which sends physicians and nurses to teach in developing countries. As you might imagine, for some of you students who have done this already and been overseas, it's an amazing feeling to be able to help people in other countries. For that, we salute you and honor you with an honorary Doctor of Philosophy degree from Michigan Technological University.
Thank you.
Doctor?
Thank you so very much. It's an incredible privilege.